Hello, and we're live actually. Now people are gathering around. It's magical. I am going to. Now this is a first for me, not a live stream, but I'm bringing this camera with me, actually, and I'm going to do a lecture here in a while, in a few minutes. So I will just now bring this camera with me, and I will say hello and so on in Norwegian to people here, and there will be a short introduction in Norwegian, and I will continue. Okay, so just hang on. Hei.
Hei.
Bjørn. Hei.
Steinar heter jeg. Jeg skal introdusere deg kort
Ja.
etterpå.
Jeg kommer til å gjøre det litt annerledes nå, for jeg tar med dette kameraet, så gjør jeg en livestream, men ikke av publikum, av meg, sånn at jeg filmer ikke folk uten å spørre, altså. Nei. Sånn at jeg skal gå inn med den her mot veggen.
Ja.
Sånn at ingen blir filmet. Den filmer mot meg, ikke sant?
Ja, nei, men det er greit for meg.
Er det toalettet?
Ja.
Ja, skal jeg snu den? Ja, der var jeg. Ja.
Ja, ikke sant, så tenker
Okay. So I'm walking into the room here. We have some people waiting already. Hallo. Hei. Det var lenge siden sist. Bjørn, hei. Jeg skal holde kameraet mot meg. Ja. Skal vi se. Okay. Oh. So I'm going to have to explain to people what I'm doing, and I'll put my tripod here so I won't wobble around as much. Sorry. Okay, now I will talk to people here in Norwegian, and I'll start my lecture here in a few minutes. Okay. Varmt. I varmen? Hi, Steve. Well, I'm going to speak in English, so I'm just doing the introduction here in Norwegian. Okay. Now I'll look at the comments now until people. We'll have to wait until people, the audience arrives. Can you hear me, by the way? Is the sound quality okay? Yes, I am busy with all the technical stuff. I'm a one-man team when it comes to the technical stuff, and everything else, I guess. Oh. Okay, wonderful. So, hi Ed. Thank you, and likewise. People are arriving now, which is always nice to see. Yeah, I'm in Tønsberg, actually, at a medieval times festival here. Yes, Henrik, it's extremely warm here. It's extremely warm. It's yeah. I would have removed this if I could, you know, but it's not. Maybe I shouldn't. Hi there, Cameron. Yes, that's the title. Oh, you got me there. Yes. That's the plan. Hi there, Elvin. Jeg klar når dere klar. Ja, så vil jeg bare si fra. Jeg venter her, jeg. Ja.
Hvilke land det nå som utgjør Vennland?
Et lite øyeblikk.
Det Polen, baltiske stater?
Ja, kan vi bare samle opp etterpå? Ja.
Ja, da har vi fått besøk av Bjorn Andreas Bull-Hansen, som har skrevet Jomsviking, som det spennende bok, og mange har lest den. Og du så at det første bok av, altså det blir en serie.
En serie.
Ja. Og da forteller du selv, og så har du livestreaming her, så det bare deg vi ser, så ikke vær redd for å havne på et eller annet TV-skjerm. Men så det et lite eksperiment som vi aldri har gjort før her. Men da ordet ditt, og så vær så god.
Takk for det. Jeg skal snakke litt grann og si hei på norsk, så håper jeg det greit at jeg skifter til engelsk. Fordi jeg har et kamera her. Jeg håper det går bra. Dette har jeg ikke bedt om tillatelse til. Jeg bare gjør det. Dere blir ikke filmet. Fordi det hadde ikke vært så greit. Dere må bare tro meg på det. Det kameraet står vendt mot meg. Det litt fordi at vi har jo en verden nå hvor jeg når noen tusen på livestreamen her, og så vi færre i salen her da. Sånn det. Ja. Så jeg kommer ikke til å snakke, her kommer det store sjokket, jeg kommer ikke til å snakke spesifikt om bøkene mine. Og grunnen til det at jeg så inne i den siste skriveperioden, kan du si, av neste bok, oppfølgeren, at hodet mitt der, bare der nå. Men jeg skal snakke om noe nært beslektet, og now I'm going to change and not going to change. I want to change because it's very hot here. I'm going to change the topic a little bit, and I'm going to talk about reviving the Viking Age. And now, you might think that I want to go back to the Viking Age, and I want things to be as they were in the Viking Age. I do not really want to do that, but there are things now that are happening. People are reviving the Viking Age the way I see it. I'm going to brag a little bit. Now, I'm not timid, so I'm going to brag a lot, actually. I have a Norwegian national record in number of hits on a blog post during 24 hours. Now I can't really remember the number, but it was 200,000 something. Was that 230 something thousand in 24 hours? And that was a blog post I wrote for my friends in Grimfrost. Grimfrost is they are really selling Viking stuff, Viking items and so on. And they are also connected to the Viking death metal band Amon Amarth. And since I know those guys quite well in Grimfrost, I wrote blog posts for them, and it went viral. And it was about the second Viking Age. And I just wrote basically that I feel we are entering the second Viking Age in a way, because the Vikings and everything Viking, you know, I'm not talking about the historical Viking Age, I'm talking about the spirit of the Viking Age. It's coming back, and it's not a trend. People are telling me it's a trend. it's a trend now. Vikings, it's very popular now. I always said I don't think it's a trend. I think there's something very basic in our societies changing, and we're watching it change now. This is a response to the way that the societies here in the West are changing and have been changing during the last couple of decades. And I'll get back to that later. Now, I brought my friend here. It's Odin. Can you see? It's Odin. Yeah. How should I put this? By the way, this was sent to me by one of my YouTube subscribers, and I actually won this in a. I was very lucky. I get sent things all the time, but this was sent to me by someone who has made his living making Viking crafts. It's his full-time job. Now, anyone want to guess where he lives? No? Well, he lives in Spain. Yeah. This one, now let's see. The Mjolnir pendant here. And any guesses where it's from? It was also given me Australia. Was it Tasmania? I think it's Australia. And this one, it's a fire striker actually. It's my. I have to say it's my favorite because I can make fire with this as well. It's great. From the USA. I'm going to put Odin somewhere safe now. In my bag here. Okay. I'm keeping one eye on the screen here sometimes. You know, there are. Okay. Lots of people watching already. Now, a little bit about my background. I'm here as a Viking. I'm sure you can see that. And why? It's not just, I don't dress up as a Viking. I really don't. I don't dress up as a Viking. It's not about that. It's not about that at all. Of course, it's not a Viking Age festival. It's a medieval ages festival here with lots of medieval stuff. I was up there just before I came in here now. It's very popular, Viking Age and medieval age as well. I'm fully equipped as a Viking in a way, and my only complaint now is this is kind of warm. It's kind of warm because it's extremely warm outside. But I just wanted to come here not as another boring writer. I just wanted to come here and show you that there are people living amongst us who live and breathe the Viking Age. And it's my full-time occupation now, and it has been for quite a while, actually. I'm a novelist, so I do lots of research. I write every day. And how should I put this? I have been, into the Viking Age since I was a little kid. My mother tells me that when you came home from kindergarten, you dressed up as a Viking. With I'm sure it was a plastic helmet with horns on it, and all that. But I wanted to be a Viking when I was a little kid. And I do realize that I'm not a Viking in a traditional sense. I'm not standing here and telling you that I'm a real Viking, but I do live by what I feel are the Viking, the Norse values, the Norse belief system. No, I don't believe that there is that this guy is sitting up there, and if I live in a good way, there will be a seat reserved for me by his table up there. I don't think so. It's much deeper than that, and I won't go into details now because internet will go crazy if I do. but there's a belief system, okay? And the Viking age, Viking festivals, you need to realize it's not just about dressing up. It's about something much deeper than that. And I really hate when it's better now, but just a few years ago, you were mocked, okay? You were mocked. If you told people, I live by the Norse, what I believe are the Norse values, you would be mocked. I remember I said something about that in school, and I was mocked by the teacher, okay? And then we went on to learn about how Jesus walked on water, okay? It's crazy. Now, the big question here is why, and everyone's asking, everyone wants to understand, why are Vikings popular? That's what people ask me. Why are the Vikings so popular? And what they really mean by that is, why are people getting so obsessed with Vikings? And why do they want to learn and feel and get into the Viking way of life? What's so special about that? What is the attraction? And I want to ask you, what do you think is the attraction of the Viking age now? Because this is happening in Australia, North America, South America, all over Europe, especially Eastern Europe, India. I have people contacting me from India even. China. Not so many people from China, but I've had some. So why? Any ideas? Yeah?
Yeah, I don't really know, but it might have something to do with that is something that happens very north, like somewhere far off in a way. Because I think about the same myself, and I wonder why aren't the Celts, for example, more popular? Oh, you've got the Asterix, of course, but still. But maybe the Vikings are famous because there are those barbarians from the far north, and that itself is very exotic.
It's exotic. It is absolutely very exotic, and there is some attraction to that in itself. Yeah. Yes. Now, my personal belief here, what I think is that it's about freedom. It's really about freedom. And we live in societies that are controlling us more and more. Okay? We don't see this. We don't see it. Because it happens very slowly. But if you look at things in a broader sense, historically and so on, you will see that the changes are quite incredible. Okay? We live in a society with extreme amounts of taxes. Yeah, we are taxed extremely high. Now, we don't think about that. No, well, we have hospitals, we have roads and so on, but in a historical sense, we are taxed quite harsh, That's one thing. Not saying I'm against this or for this. I'm just saying that there are differences. When I go outside, now that's a bad example because I have bought large area of land around my house so I can do what I want. But when I go outside of my land, there are rules and regulations controlling us everywhere. Now, I don't like that. I don't like that. We are Norwegians, so we don't commonly think about society in that way, okay? We are used to this, and we are conditioned to accept this. Now, some of you may disagree, but Norwegians, and this is basic science actually, research has been done on this. We are very prone to accept rules imposed on us, okay, as Norwegians. And one guy is shaking his head. Swedes? Yes. Oh, we don't want to talk bad about the Swedes now. And we are also, we will accept to hand out punishment to people, or that people who don't follow the rules are punished. We, as Norwegians, accept this to a very high degree. Now, I believe, and here's my point, that the attraction of the Viking Age and why so many people, they get into the Viking Age and the Viking way of life and they live it every day, it's because of the freedom it gives them. And it's a different way of thinking, okay? It's a different way of thinking. And it's a provoking way of thinking. I know I'm provoking lots of people, and I'm not shy about it. Why should I be? I mean, this is what the Viking Age, the Viking way of life means to me. And the 30 plus thousand people following me on social media, they all say the same. And this is their story, you know? This is their story. It's about freedom, and there is some rebellion there as well. So rebellion. The Viking Age in itself, some say it was actually started as a rebellion about against Christian, what's the word again? Expansion. So at least they tried to build a wall across Denmark to keep the Christian hordes out. And now today, you know, we have people, lots of them are friends of mine, all over the world. They walk every day with a Mjolnir pendant. And what are they saying about the Mjolnir pendant? It's not a fashion statement, you know? It's not a fashion statement. It's much deeper than that. Now, if I told you, when I was a little kid, I dressed up as a Viking, and I ran around playing with a plastic sword. A bit later, I ran a bit further. I ran into the woods, and I got into what is referred to as bushcraft now. So that's also a large part of my life. And the Viking way of life and bushcraft, you know, how to know the land and live off the land goes together. So I have written many novels, and now I'm getting into the writing part. Oh, I'm so warm. Yeah. Okay. Things are getting crazy here. This is not easy. I am speaking in English, and because I'm working on my novel now, I haven't had time. I was up at 3. I usually get up at 2 or 3 a.m. now to find time to work on my novel. So I didn't have time to prepare this. And I'm thinking ahead as well while I'm talking. And I'm keeping one eye on the screen here. I'm trying my best. Okay, so I have written many novels. And they sold kind of well, okay. And I could make a living from my novels and so on for many years. And then I thought, okay, it's time to write an historical novel about the Viking Age, or rather an historical novel from the Viking Age. So I did, and that's the novel there, Jomsviking. It's the first in a series. It kind of happened overnight, actually. It happened overnight. Something happened, and it started to sell quite well, you know, and it started to sell even better. and then it entered the best-selling lists, first in one of the bookstores, and then another one, and so on. Then 10,000 books were sold, and now I'm hearing 40,000, and it's been sold to many, many countries. There were actually mornings I woke up and I thought, is this real? Because it felt unreal, actually. And social media kind of exploded. I already had a social media presence, so it kind of exploded when when people outside of Norway started to read about this, then it kind of exploded. So there is something about the Viking Age if you do it right. Not everyone can do it right. You need to be authentic about it. You need to be authentic, and you need to be respectful. And that's where it kind of lacks for many people. They don't have the respect for the Viking Age. Okay. Okay, how are we with time now?
It's 25 past.
25.
25 past.
25.
So you still got like half an hour.
Yes, yes, perfect. Now, if you go up here, okay, this is a medieval times festival, so you'll have a large variation of costumes and so on up here. That's okay. I have no problems with that at all, because it's not a Viking festival. But I did see lots of people I know up here with their, we call it Viking tents, but you know, one could discuss if Vikings really had tents, and in so many tents, and it's cotton canvas tents and so on. But it's about it needs to be practical. I have one of those tents as well. So but that's beside the points. You'll have people living and traveling around every weekend, actually, from market to market and festival to festival. Some travel all over Europe, not so many, but some travel every weekend. And it's their life. And in the winters, they make stuff to sell. Maybe they are working with metal, like a blacksmith. Okay, they might work with. Sorry, kanskje vi skal åpne hvis vi åpner en dør, blir det varmere da, eller?
Nei, da blir det varmere.
Da blir det varmere, ja.
Det litt skummelt, men det
Yeah. Because it's like very warm here. Nei, det går bra. Det går bra. Okay. Now. Okay, so when there are people, and I feel there are more and more people living that way. Now, I don't, because I don't have the time. I have a family, kids back home, and so, and I like to go sailing. I wish I had a Viking longship. I don't at the moment. But this is a passion, that's my point. This is a passion to many people. And there's not only is this a passion to so many people, but it's also now, I want to say brotherhood, but it's not only for men, right? So it's a community, and it's a very close community. I feel it's not a closed community that it's close to outsiders. Everyone's welcome and so on, but it's a close community. People are close, and there's some. You know, you share the common interests here. So this is, how many years have you had this market now? Quite a few years?
Yes, I think it's started regularly maybe
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this market here, now it started 20 years ago. Has it grown or not?
Yeah, I think the first years it was every second year,
Hmm.
and now it's every year. But it depends on the weather, really.
Yeah, it depends on
Because
the
they've
weather.
been very unlucky with weather the latest years. It's been raining a lot, and
Yeah.
now it's too sunny.
Yes.
That also get people to the beach instead.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's varying really.
Yeah, and you have the space is limited up there. I noticed, so you can't really fit like 100 tents there.
No.
No. No.
So I think it's quite stable.
Quite stable, yes. I think that if you look at some, you know, a very good example of how this is growing, how this is a movement that's growing, is the Midgardsblot festival. It's a music festival, but they started out with, you know, Midgardsblot with really, it wasn't a large music festival at all. It wasn't. But it's been growing steadily. And now they are selling out quickly, and they are, I believe, they want to expand, but they are limited by the time available and the space there.
Yes, but I think that Midgardsblot has a different character, really.
Yes.
That's a heavy metal.
Yes, of course. Midgardsblot is a music festival, and it's a mix between Viking reenactment and black metal, death metal, and so on. So it's a. But here's my point: is why is there a mix there? Why is there a connection there? Because there is a connection between that kind of music and that kind of lifestyle and the Viking lifestyle. There's a very strong connection, actually. Now, it's.
Question?
Yeah, sure.
Don't you think that is the opposite way around? That is those who attend the music festival, those is the people who feel connected to the Vikings, who have some sort of feelings about this culture, but the people who is there as reenactors, they are not that into heavy metal. They're like,
Well,
because they sell their
yes.
product or because they're paid to be there.
I'll just repeat this because I don't know if they can hear. But is there what you're saying is that which way is the connection going? Is it like are the Viking reenactors that concerned about that kind of music, or is it like those people who like that kind of music they like the Viking lifestyle, something like that? Yeah.
Isn't that the more plausible reason, the connection?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I believe that the connection between that kind of music, let's call it metal music. It's not really correct because you don't see that connection between like 80s style or glam style heavy metal and the Viking Age. It's only death metal, black metal, and of course Viking metal, which is something in there as well, actually. Now, and someone just said here, metal is the music of the modern Vikings. It is. It's true. And why? Now, I believe that it's very interesting, but first of all, you see that people are coming from the metal scene, not the musicians, but the people attending those concerts and so on, and they are attracted to the Viking Age. They are extremely fascinated by the Viking Age. And you see some of them, they start Viking reenacting and so on. And I know that, I know many of those who are attending Midgardsblot as reenactors, and they are all into that kind of music. And of course, that's why they're there, but it's still also a Viking festival. Now, why is there a connection? At least we know that there's a connection between, you know, in the sense that people who love that kind of music, they are attracted to the Viking lifestyle. And why is it so? Now, it's about values. I think it's about values. It's some of the same values in those two those two lifestyles offer the same values. That's the way I see it. And now I would like to define those values. And I'll do my best. But it's, as I said, it's very deep, and it's difficult to just list a few values, you know. But I think it's about, I mentioned this already, it's about freedom. And now I'm talking about both the black metal, death metal, if we can call that a lifestyle, and I'm talking about the Viking lifestyle. So the common values, so to speak. Freedom in both, okay? There's a rebellion in both. I'm trying to think about some other music genre. For some reason, I can only think about hip-hop music. It hasn't got a rebellion anymore, you know? There isn't really a rebellion there, as far as I know. Yeah?
But don't you think there are also more shallow reasons with it?
Yeah.
Like, for example, that like heavy metal or black metal or death metal is kind of satanistic, and then you draw it to the paganism, the Viking paganism.
No,
paganism.
I don't think so.
But it's kind of a anti thing, you know, to the
Yes.
knives and clever society.
Yes, if I can just
Shallow.
say something about the shallow, you mentioned there are some shallow reasons,
Yes.
okay?
For most people, I think.
And yes, let me just answer that,
Yes.
and then we'll. Okay, we have authors in the room here, by the way. They know what they're talking about. Okay, are there shallow reasons why people are attracted to both the black metal, death metal scene and the Viking lifestyle? I'm sure there are people coming into this and for the shallow reasons. It's kind of, I don't know, tough and
Yes.
and you know, it's that's the only word I can think of right now. But it's kind of tough, and it's if you're like 15 years old, it's much tougher than pop music. And you know, Vikings, they were really tough too. So it's all very tough. So maybe there is some people, they get into this for shallow reasons. I do think that those people, they don't stay. Okay, my impression is they don't stay. It's like they get attracted to this, and a few weeks, months later, there's something else, you know. But I'm sure there are some people getting attracted to this by shallow reasons. Now, you mentioned Satanism. Now, I don't think people get into these scenes. I mean, Satanism, I don't see.
Or anti-Christian, though, you know.
Yeah, that's something different.
Yes, I know, but
Yeah, I don't think, but Satanism, I don't think people get into this because they want to be Satanists. I don't think so. Maybe in the 90s in Norway, if you were like very immature and stupid, maybe. But anti-Christianity,
yes.
that's very important.
Yes.
And it's one of the reasons why people get attracted to both that kind of music and the Viking Age. Because, and here's one very important thing. Now, we know the Viking Age, you can kind of divide it into, you have the heathen Viking Age and the Christian Viking Age, okay? And the heathen Viking Age, it's much more popular. I don't think I've ever had someone approaching me in real life or in social media asking about the Christian Viking Age and so on. It's like it never existed.
Yeah, and
you
it's
know?
not exotic enough.
Yeah, but
As well, yes, because it's something. Well, now that's we know that, you know, we all know all about that. We are interested in something different, the heathen Viking Age.
Yeah.
I don't like the word pagan. I am a heathen, you know. I make no excuses for being heathen. I'm a man on the land and the sea, and that's my connection.
Yeah.
Now, and I find that the heathen values, the Norse heathen values, are good values.
What values is that? You talk about adventurism, you talk about
Yeah.
rebelliousness, but there is. How can you even try to recreate Viking hedonism? There's not enough sources to do that, so there's something. There must be something that you create, what you think you know of Viking Age, and then you create something.
No, that's not
looks
true.
like it.
No, it's not true that I'm just recreating something I think I know. That's just not true. Now, I'm not going to stand here and defend my belief in the Viking values or the Norse values. I'm just trying to tell you that there is something here that is not shallow. It's very deep, actually, and it's hard to define. And it means different things to different people, right? So, I was talking about the connection between black metal and death metal and the Viking way of life. Now, okay, I should have defined Viking. When I say Viking, I'm not talking about Viking in a historical sense. Of course I'm not. I told you I'm not a Viking, obviously. I'm a family father. I'm 45 years old. And so it goes without saying that I'm not a Viking in the historical sense of that word, okay? But Viking means something different to most people than it does to some historian or an archaeologist, okay? So we need to be able to use that word. We need to be able to use that word. Also, heathen values, Norse heathen values, means different things to different people. And I know what it means to me. I'm not going to get too personal about that. But it's about freedom, it's about rebellion, it's about being close to nature, okay? Because that's something people have lost during recent years. And lots of people are trying to find their way back to nature, okay? And that's very important. And it's a lifesaver to lots of people. Yeah, someone here telling me. It's not just people into metal, as you can probably tell by my name. And it's someone called Inertia Punk. And someone's telling me here, it's a natural, instinctual way of living. Yeah, I agree.
I don't agree at all.
No?
No, because I think the Viking had very advanced culture, really. So I don't think it's more instinctive than anything else.
It's a spiritual connection to our ancestors and roots. Yeah. And someone says here, my return to my pagan roots was the best thing that could happen to me in a long time.
Yes.
So is this all false? I mean, is this not true?
We don't know how that person was before. He could come from the gutter.
No, he didn't.
Then it would be better. Anything would be better.
So anything would be better. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I think that people find like kind of different things, you know, which is true for them, but maybe not for.
But don't you agree that there is some kind of objective truth out there that to study history, to study the sources, is a quest for a historical objective truth? Do you agree on that?
Now, I normally don't answer leading questions, you know, but what you're saying is that it's possible to go back and to study and to find some objectiveness in this. Of course, I do that all day, and people have that as their job. Now, but as I said, I think I've said it several times already, we are not recreating the Viking Age, right? We are reviving the Viking Age. There's a difference there. Okay. Now,
But that is not really the Viking Age, it's something else.
Yes,
I think.
because
It's not really the Viking Age at all.
it's not the Viking Age at all.
You just call it the Viking Age. but
I
it's
just call
not
it the
really.
Viking Age.
So if you're recreating something based on what you think and you don't care about the objective truth, maybe you do, but if you don't do that, you are just making up a sort of new age system and you call it Viking.
Okay.
But actually, that's the thing that we are talking. That's what all these 2 days has been all about.
yes,
It's about the creation of the modern Viking Age and how the Viking Age has been created several times for different kinds of purposes. So actually, it's very interesting to listen to you. And we're going to have a small debate afterwards, so we can talk more about that, and also how the Viking Age has been transformed several times since the medieval ages, actually.
You are the plastic Vikings. Toys for adults.
So we are the plastic Vikings. Okay.
yeah, because I think it's impossible to dig something that was like 800 or 1,000 years ago, because we are colored by our world, you know, and you can't kind of go back in time like mental or anything, actually.
No. Okay.
But because you have your life world.
So basically, if I gather these feedbacks from these 3 people here now, I don't care about objective truth. We are the Viking plastic Vikings, and we can't recreate the Viking Age.
No, I don't
No?
think you can create it at all, because we don't know enough.
Okay? You care to say anything about that? No?
Men kan vi ta den diskusjonen på norsk? For det
Not really.
Det er flere her som ikke
Yeah.
henger med på engelsk.
Okay.
Så hvis vi kan ta debatten nå på norsk, så er det veldig fint. For
Now,
nå-
we're not going to have a debate here, actually.
Hæ?
We're not going to have a debate.
No, after the please.
Nei, men ja, but,
This is
Yeah.
me talking, it's not a debate. So
yes, but,
if we can keep it to that.
Yes, but in 5 minutes we have to start the debate. Okay?
5 minutes already? Okay, yeah, I can see. Yeah. Okay, just to keep things in perspective, I don't agree with you, and I don't get to answer back because my battery is low, actually, and also I need to move on. So, okay, those minutes went past really fast, and I want to thank you all for having patience with me speaking English here. Okay, thanks a lot, and.